Are you preparing your commercial fleet for the transition to electric vehicles? Well, if you are, then this is the series for you. Welcome to LEXperts. The team of experts at Lex Autolease has even more insights to help you get ready for that 2035 deadline, which is very much fast approaching. Now, we understand that every company runs differently, and how you design a greener fleet of commercial vehicles for yours all depends on your unique business needs. So in this episode, we're discussing right vehicle, right job, right time. And now it's time to get into it with LEXpert Andy Hill, Commercial Vehicle Manager at Lex.
Well, Andy, thank you so much for joining us. I can't wait to pick your brains because you are such an expert when it comes to all things vans. And with this transition to going electric, I mean, how much is involved for a commercial fleet to switch to electric?
It's very complex. If you compare it to transitioning a car fleet, there's so much more to think about with vans. Companies don't have a van as a lifestyle choice. They have it as a tool to do a job. So you have to make sure that van will fulfil the need that it's meant to do.
Where do you start if you're in charge of a commercial fleet, and what are the options available in terms of making the switch?
Essentially, there are only two options. It's either stay with ICE vehicles, that's diesel or petrol, or go full battery electric. There are a couple of options for hybrid. They're a little bit niche and they don't really fit very many people's needs at the moment.
So if a fleet owner is committing to going electric, I mean, that's quite an overwhelming task. Where do you start?
It's very rare, I think, that anybody is going to go full electric for their whole fleet immediately. Technology is a little bit behind car technology as far as electric is concerned in vans, but it's changing all the time, it's catching up. We like to help people to transition gradually, make it as easy for them as possible. And if that means that only part of their fleet will transition today, then that's what we'll help them do.
What do you think the biggest challenge is going to be? I mean, one word that we talk about a lot in electrification is range anxiety. You know, how far that car or van is going to go on a single charge. How much of an issue is that?
It's certainly a consideration. If you're driving a car, it's quite easy just to pull into a service station and charge for half an hour. Vans, it tends to be a little bit different to that because you can't always fit on the charger. The spaces may not be big enough and that sort of thing. So this is where we are talking to customers and helping them transition those easy vehicles first, or vehicles that can do their whole day's work on one charge and then charge overnight, ready for the next day.
And battery life is also something we talk about a lot, particularly with electric vehicles. How much of a concern is battery life? Because they seem to be getting longer and longer. I mean, that's the one good thing. The technological advances are vastly improving.
Battery technology is really exciting at the moment. It's moving on leaps and bounds. Most manufacturers will give a warranty on their batteries of around about 8 years. If you come to a company like Lex Autolease and lease your van through us, you'll typically be keeping it somewhere between 3 and 5 years. So it's really not going to be a concern to you.
Great. So battery life is not a problem. What are the other sort of major challenges that I suppose we need to be aware of?
The next biggest concern is probably payload for vans. So payload tends to be slightly lower on a battery electric van because the batteries weigh so much. The government have helped with that recently with the driver licence derogation, which means you can drive up to 4.25 tonnes on a car driver's licence, which has really helped. The tip I would give is to speak to the experts and don't expect to do your whole fleet in one go.
What is the biggest cost for making that transition?
Biggest cost is probably going to be installing an infrastructure to charge the vans if you need to do it.
Yeah.
That is a really big concern. Lots of people will only lease their premises, so it's a big commitment to invest that money into a premises that you ultimately don't own.
And is the process becoming easier now?
It's becoming a lot smoother because people are getting used to making that change, I think. People's experience are coming to bear on it. The same challenges are still there, but I think people are finding answers to them now.
Brilliant. And you've got all the answers, haven't you, Andy?
I like to think we've got all the answers, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing them with us today.
Thank you, Nikki.
Every business is going to have different needs, but the transition doesn't have to happen all at once. Let's hear from our LEXperts about making the switch with a staggered approach.
If you transition all of your fleet at once, it's really easy to make mistakes, whereas if you stagger your transition,
you'll be able to manage costs.
Slowly adopt your own workplace charging solution.
And also bring your drivers on board.
Often it's a lot easier to identify lower mileage, urban, smaller light commercial vehicle applications first.
It's not about doing everything today, here and now.
it's about finding out what works for your organisation. The right vehicle at the right time for the right journey. Using those basics can make the transition feel much less daunting.
A great example of a company that's successfully tackling the transition to electric in stages is E.ON. The energy provider wants to electrify its fleet by 2025. The company currently has a fleet of 1,846 LCVs on contract hire, and already 135 of them are electric, with a further 222 electric LCVs on order. Partnering with an experienced co-driver on this ride is only going to make the journey smoother. With expertise and innovative tools, the team at Lex can help identify opportunities to chip away at what you need to get done and plan an efficient transition that's right for your business. In the next episode, our LEXperts talk operations, getting under the hood of charging logistics and making EV work for your drivers. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.